Welcome to the Leader Impact podcast. We are a community of leaders with a network in over 350 cities around the world dedicated to optimizing our personal, professional, and spiritual lives to have impact. This show is where we have a chance to listen and engage with leaders who are living this out. We love talking with leaders, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions to make this show even better, please let us know. Best way to stay connected in Canada is through our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social at LeaderImpact. But if you're listening from outside of Canada, check out our website at leaderimpact.com. I'm your host, Lisa Peters, and our guest today is award-winning comedian Tara Brown. Tara brings clean, family-friendly humor to audiences nationwide. Named one of the stand-up comedians you need to know in Charlotte by charlotte5.com and Best Comedian by Queen City Nerve in 2019, she's the latest winner of the Jeannie Robertson's Comedy with Class humor competition. Catch her on season 2 of Stand Up Nashville on Circle Network, Dry Bar Comedy, Open Bar Comedy, and Sailing the High Seas with Carnival and Norwegian Cruise Lines. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, well, so I'm going to tell the audience how we met Tara. I saw her on a cruise, and for some reason, I was telling you this, we were with a group of people. They sat in the back row. I'm like, I need to sit second row center. I came up, I sat down, and then I'm like, now I know why. And now you're here.
So I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad you were led and you didn't say, you know what, I'm going to sit with them. I'm going to sit where I'm meant to sit. So thank you. And I'm glad that you did.
Well, and then I stalked you after the show, and that didn't go so well with your producer. But we're here, so we're good.
Okay. They were just being protective, but I'm glad that it all worked out. And I'm so glad that you did stalk me. Thank you.
Yeah. So I love comedy. I love laughing. I think it brings so much to our life. So I'm excited to have you here. I don't think I've ever had a comedian on the show, especially a winning one, or from Nashville. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm the first. I'm excited. Yes. I'm in Nashville by way of New York, by way of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I've traveled a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I love Nashville. I love country music. So
yes.
All right.
Great city.
So we'll jump in. We love hearing about professional stories and sort of, how did you get to where you are today? And I know the stories could be long, but more those pivotal moments that really got you to the turning point of your journey.
I started out, originally, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I started out in New York, and I was going to college part-time, and I took a job, and the job was in book publishing. And I love to tell the story because it's just a reminder to people. It's just like, don't despise humble beginnings. I started out as a receptionist in book publishing. Then people liked me and gave me an opportunity to work in the PR department. So then I went on to have a career, what turned out to be a 30-year career in PR, just from that job at the reception desk. So I moved from New York to Charlotte, North Carolina. The great thing about PR is such a highly transferable skill. So if you do it in book publishing, you can do it in television, which is what I did. So I transferred that skill to work for an independent cable television network outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And that network did a lot of acquired content. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities to do PR. And I'm a New Yorker and I'm used to being busy. So it was one of those things where I was like, I need to be busy. So I'm not busy here. I need to find a hobby. So I Googled things to do in Charlotte and comedy class popped up. And I said, people said I'm funny. I come from a long line of funny people. My grandfather was hilarious. My mother's a hoot. I said, I'll give it a shot. So I took this 6-week comedy class at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was fantastic. And so this started out being kind of a hobby or a side hustle. But a funny thing happened on the way to the comedy club. It started getting good. And so then what ended up happening is I started getting all these amazing opportunities. And I ended up having what felt like 2 full-time jobs. So I had to make a decision of which of those jobs I was going to let go. And I let go of the PR job and stepped out on faith. And 3 years ago, January 2023, I quit my full-time job and pursued a full-time comedy career, stand-up comedy career. And here we are.
Wow. Were you always the funny kid?
I was not. And that's the funny, pun intended, that's the funny thing about this. Everyone says, oh, you're following your passion. I was like, I'm not. If you had told me that I was going to be a stand-up comedian, 20 years ago, I was like, me? And the funniest thing about that, okay, how many times can we use the word funny in this whole interview, right?
Okay, I'll count later.
Exactly, right. The interesting thing about that is, again, I come from New York, so you would have thought if I was going to do a stand-up comedy career, I would have started it there, but I didn't. So I started it in Charlotte. So I fell into this, and so everyone's like, "Oh, you're doing what you've always been into." I'm like, "Okay, I didn't think this is what I would be doing." But I am so elated with this journey. And I always like to tell people this. As I was leaving Charlotte, the last Sunday I left Charlotte, I went to my church, which I still attend, the Park Church in Charlotte. And my pastor prayed over me. And he said 5 words I'll never forget. He said, "I'm sending you on assignment." And I never looked at comedy as an assignment. But once he said those words, it really changed the way I performed comedy and the way I went about this work, because it really is an assignment, and I'm grateful that I get to do it.
You need to dive deeper into sending you on an assignment. Like how, so when you step on stage, you're like, I have a purpose here.
I have purpose. There are people who are hurting. There are
Oh.
people, I've had so many instances where people have come to me after a show. A good case in point, I was performing for a charitable event. And after the show, a woman comes up to me and she says, "I've seen you perform before." And I said, "You have?" She said, "Yeah, and it was the worst night of my life." And she went on to tell me why. And she said, "The last thing I wanted to do that night was go to a comedy show. But my friends convinced me to come, and you made me laugh so hard that I forgot about what I was going through." And then I hugged her, and, we're both crying. And so that is a part of the assignment, just remembering that when people walk in that room, they're walking in with things you don't even know what's going on with them. And it's my job to make you feel better for those 30 minutes or however long I'm with you, and just maybe not make you think about it for a little while.
Yeah. So in that, I'm going to say pivotal moment, because we're talking about of
Yes.
leaving a PR company after 30 years to
Yeah.
going, okay, so this hobby turned into full time. What was that moment like? Like I remember making a change, and it was like I knew I had to make it, but I was like, I think I'm going to be sick. Like,
No, yeah, scary.
okay, because I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
people think
please.
it's easy.
No, terrifying. It's no, please don't think that. It's, when
Yeah.
you are stepping out on faith. I will never forget when I was telling everybody and their mom that I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to do PR. A guy said something to me, and I thought it was a great line. He said, "It's been my experience, when you make the leap, the net will appear." And I said, "Interesting." So I hadn't thought about it that way, but this journey has been one that has been faith filled, and God has been faithful. And I'm so incredibly grateful for his faithfulness. And I remember when because I had been hemming and hawing about leaving the job. The other piece of that is that how I ended up in Nashville, Tennessee from Charlotte, is it was encouraged of me by some influential people here that this could be a good move for me to make. And so I thought about it, and so not only did I leave my job, I left the city I had lived in for 20 years and moved to Nashville, Tennessee, to pursue stand-up comedy, because this is while it's a fabulous music city, as we all know, it's also a really good city for clean comedy. And I have not regretted that decision. It has been a wonderful move for me. And that's also a really good feeling when you take that leap, you step out on faith, and it works out in the way that you hope that it would. And again, it's not for the faint of heart. There are times of uncertainty. With comedy, I always like to say you eat what you kill. So you have to you have to go out and just kind of find these opportunities and make the right connections. But it has been the most rewarding and fulfilling thing I've done.
Wow, you
Yes.
inspire me.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so
I'm
good.
excited. Mhm.
All right. Well, our next question, we talk about best principle of success. If you have one, and if you can tell us a story that illustrates that.
My, treat people with kindness and respect. Don't think you are too big for the moment or the room, I'm always grateful when someone offers me an opportunity. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I didn't want to ask if you would want to do the show because it was, too small." And I'm like, no, I'm grateful for when people want to talk to me or want to offer me things. It's so funny because a lot of times you and I met on a cruise ship, and I meet a lot of people on ships, and I love talking to people on ships. And a lot of times people say to me, "Thanks for talking to me." I'm like, "What? Like, thanks for talking to me?"
Yeah.
So humility. There's this thing. I'm appreciative of people who are confident. Nothing wrong with that. I love that. But I'm a big fan of humility. I'm a big fan of just being appreciative of the moment, appreciative of people. People don't owe it to you to be kind to you. People don't owe it to you to offer you opportunities. So be kind and don't be a jerk. No one likes a jerk. No one wants to work with someone who they don't like. So I try to lead with that. I remember I'm the daughter. My mom is a preacher. She's a prophetess and an evangelist. And when I first started doing comedy, my mom said to me, if you honor God with your comedy, God will honor your comedy. And that has been true. So I just try to lead with that.
Yeah.
The old adage, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Which really makes it easy for someone like me to come talk to you. And, thank you for talk, because really, thank you for coming out and talking to me, because you could have blew me off, right? But your presence is just,
No,
so it's about opening up too.
that means the world to me that you said that, because I tell people all the time, the thing I love to hear most, listen, I love hearing, oh, I thought you were funny. The thing that gets me in all the feels is when people say, I can relate to you. And a part of being relatable is being approachable. So I can't get on a stage and, share this experience with you and we have all these things in common. And then I get off and I'm super standoffish. I'm like, I've just messed up my witness there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I try to just be as authentic as possible. You and I had this conversation before. I find that people can spot inauthenticity a mile away. So if you just lead with authenticity, I think that you will go a long way
Yeah.
in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And speaking of that, sometimes we don't. So we're going to talk about failures, because
Yes.
sometimes, we fail or we have a failing, and we learn more, because we learn more from those than our own successes. So do you have something that you could share that you learned, and something you learned from it?
How much time do we
I
have?
know.
I'll tell you this. The thing that stands out to me the most is I had what I like to call, remember that children's book, Alexander's Horrible, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day? There's a children's book like that where everything just went wrong. I had one of those type of days. So I was going on my way to a comedy show. I had left the house, got to the parking garage, realized I left my wallet home. So that was first thing. And I was like, oh, so my friend had to come pay for my parking. Get on stage. The set is not going well. It's just, it when it's not going well. And then I ended the set by falling off the stage.
Oh,
Fell. And I knew I was falling. And the funniest thing is, at that particular show, I had asked a friend to videotape me. The wrong time to do that, because the set firstly wasn't going well. And so as I'm tumbling down in the front row, the only thing I can think is, oh God, please let him have stopped the tape. Right? And so thankfully he did. But so I fallen off the stage. I had a bad night. The show wasn't great. I think we were like 6 people in the audience. And I remember, and then at the time, I didn't drive on highways. Like I hated driving at night. I didn't drive on highways. I accidentally, after that show, jumped on a highway at night. And I was like, oh my goodness. So everything, like I said, that could go wrong that day went wrong. And I remember going to bed thinking, and I had a show the next day at the same venue. And I remember thinking, I'm not going back there.
mm,
Everyone saw me fall. I was humiliated. I'm not doing that again. And then I realized in life, that's not life. You have opportunities where you fall down, but you got to get back up. And so the next day I was like, okay, I'm going to dust myself off literally and figuratively and then go back. And the next night was better. There are times where I've been on a show and again, it did not go well. And you beat yourself up like, why didn't that work? I have done shows, literally shows where I've done the same set at one show and the audience was quiet, and the next show I thought they were going to have a parade for me. So it's just like you
wow.
you have to have thick skin with this. You have to have, I tell people all the time, you have to have both short-term and long-term memory with this. The short term and like, okay, that was a bad one, tomorrow will be better. And then the long term to remember that I'm good at this. I'm okay. It's okay. This is going to be fun. So I think, like I said, a lot of it is just resilience, having resilience and understanding that this one moment, this one show, this one set does not define who you are. Because you can leave and think, I'm the worst person in the world. Where's all the Haagen Dazs? I want to eat everything, but it's just not life. And so you just have to be reminded of that.
Yeah. So I'm a former project manager, and as a project manager, we have crisis communications plan, emergency response plan. So we think of, okay, what happens when? So if I have a bad day, how do I get out of it? What are the tools I have? Listen to loud music, go for a walk, right? So these tools. And I just, how do you prepare? And this made me think, how do you prepare to fall off the stage? Just saying, because I speak on stage. And I had a comedian who gave us example. He fell and he said, and as he's laying there with the mic in his hand, he goes, and now I'll take questions from the floor.
Oh, nice.
So just
Very
being
nice.
prepared, like I don't,
Yes.
yes, I'm prepared for success, but am I prepared? And I don't want to prepare to fail. But if something bad happens in my day, do I have the tools to say, I'm coming back tomorrow and I'm
Yes.
going to listen? Like, what are those tools? And I talk
That's
to my
good.
daughter about that a lot,
Yeah.
having the tools to get out of, crappy thinking.
And I think, again, it goes back to just remembering you're good at this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to, there's a lot of self talk you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I can do this. I've done this. I've done this well. This moment does not define me. I'm okay. I'm okay. And so it's a lot of times we can have negative self talk, but it's just, again, reinforcing those messages to ourselves like, girl, you got this. You got this. I was listening to a podcast once where a guy said the way he hypes himself up before shows, he looks around the room and goes, I'm the funniest person in here. I'm the funniest person in here. I'm the funniest person in here. And I was like, that's a good plan. And then I also heard one time that fear and excitement pull from the same areas of the brain. And so I've heard that when you're nervous, if you change that to saying, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, you start to feel and believe that. And I've done that and it's worked. It
Yeah.
has worked. Yes.
I was just talking to my producer yesterday about that, about the brain doesn't know the difference between that and just,
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. Not,
I'm excited. I'm excited. I get to do this. Like, you know how many people don't get the opportunity to stand on a stage and just, I can tell a joke and I thought of something that made you laugh. That's incredible. I remember, speaking of being on ships, once I was on one and I was performing and a woman had her back to me and I was like, okay, what's happening there? But then what I realized is she was signing my show. For someone in the audience who was hearing impaired. So when I realized what she was doing, I slowed down my cadence. And then at one point, the woman who she was signing for laughed at something I said, and I had to turn away because I almost started crying because it just touched me so much. This woman couldn't even hear, but something I created in the words I said made her have that reaction. And I tell you what, nothing will get you more than that.
there's so many
So then
feels in
I
that.
can't, right. So then I can't then get caught up in, I fell off a stage. I'm horrible. This is when I had that moment too. So I have so many more of those experiences. And again, that's what you have to remind yourself of
Yeah.
because we tend to focus on the negative. We tend to focus on the one bad thing. I remember once doing a show and everyone in the room was laughing, but I look at the corner of my eye and this one woman, she was not laughing. And that's how our mind works, right? Like I got everybody here laughing, but I'm focused on why she's not laughing.
Yeah.
And then finally I said something and she doubled over and I turned to her and I said, was that the one you were waiting on? That's what it took to get you. So just a lot of reminders that
Oh,
you've got this.
yeah. So good. Tara,
Yeah,
so
thank
good.
you.
So at Leader Impact, we want to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually to increase impact. And I would
Yes.
love to, if you're willing to share an example of how the spiritual makes a practical difference in your life as a leader.
Everything I do, I lead with faith. Um,
Mm.
I don't I pray before every show. I ask God to set the atmosphere. Lord, help me to say something that's going to be a blessing to those around. I don't know how to live a life that's not guided by my faith. I thank God for my mom. because my mom taught me or I accepted Jesus when I was 9 years old. So, and that comes from my mom, having such a strong faith and leading me there. And as I said, my mom is a preacher, and I'm so super proud of her. And even now, when I leave to go go to sea or wherever, the first call I get is her praying over me. So everything for me starts and ends with my faith, and I'm grateful because and to just honor this gift that God has given me. Like, I don't take that for granted. And as I said, when my pastor said those words over me, I'm sending you on assignment. I can't get over that, because it's just like, yes, I'm on this assignment. So I've dubbed the work I do the laughter assignment, because to me it is that, it is an assignment. So I'm incredibly grateful. So for me, it starts and ends with my faith. I know that God works all things together. And so even when a show does not go well, I pray, listen, and so that people know this, I prayed sometime like, okay, God, let it go well. And it didn't go well. And you know what here's how I've grown in my faith. I'm not mad at him when that happens. I'll come back and I'm like, okay, it's not what you wanted today. I respect it. There's a reason you did not let those people laugh. Okay.
Oh, that's tough.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, I don't know. I just realized something. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm sending you on assignment was 5 words, because I kept saying it and I was like, it's 5 words, right? Yes, it is
Yes.
5. Okay, good. Yes, but so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Actually, you just said that. It makes, there was a question I want, where was I going when you just said that?
Yeah, you
Gosh,
talk to me, I can get it going. I could throw you off.
I know. Oh, I was going to ask you is, Kate, so you were raised in faith. You came, but for the people that, and I feel I can ask you this,
Yes.
people who have never done that, and they're looking at you going, but what do you mean? Like, because I'll just stop and go, okay, God, we're doing this. And that is literally how I say it. I'm like, okay, and then I pray. What would you say to someone who's like, I don't know what you mean? Like, how do you just pray? You just talk.
You just talk. And that's the beautiful thing about it, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be this eloquent thing. You can come to him with your fears, your anxieties, when you're mad. There's a song I heard one time, and every time I think of the lyrics, it touches me in all the feels. And the guy says, God, I was mad at you. And that was so real, because there are times when it doesn't always feel good and you don't understand, but God can handle when you're upset or when you don't understand. And in fact, I feel like we get closer to him in those moments. So just start where you are. I think a lot of times people feel like it has to be this most elaborate thing. It does not. Just, God, I don't understand. God, I'm afraid. That's a big one. God, I'm afraid. The thing about stepping out on faith on this journey that I have, there are moments of scarcity. There are times of scarcity. There's like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I promise you this, God has been faithful through every single step of the way. So when I see that faithfulness show up, each time, you know what it does? It makes me a little less afraid. And that's the cool thing. So for anyone who doesn't know where to start, talk to him like you talk to a friend. Like, if you were talking to a friend or you were talking to someone who you trusted and say, I don't know why you did that. I wanted it to go this way, but you didn't do that. And I'm trying to understand why you did that. Just start where you are. And that's the big thing. That's another thing too. I think as believers, we have to be mindful that everyone is not where we are, and and we need to be able to show people that it's okay to be, flawed and human. Because I think a lot, as my mother says, sometimes we have to remember that we can't be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good. So you just have one of the greatest examples of this, and this blows my mind to this day. My mom and I, and like I said, she's my greatest example. She's my faith leader. She's my prayer partner. She's everything. This always stood out to me. Years ago, we were in New York and we were on a subway, and there was a woman, a young mother, and she was cursing her child out really badly. Like, it was really bad, to the point that people were moving away. And I remember standing next to my mom and thinking, it's a shame how she's talking to her daughter. And when I went to turn around, my mother was over talking to the young woman. And she was rubbing her back and said, "It's okay. I was a young mother before. You're going to be okay." And then the girl collapsed into tears. So you never know what people need. So we have to get out of this thing of being judgmental. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
don't know. So that to me, if I go back with the comedy, I don't know who's walking in that room. I don't know what you brought in. But my job is to make you feel good for a little while. And I'm grateful that God saw something in me that allows me to do that.
Oh, oh, this is so good.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
sitting here writing all your one-liners, and I'm like, oh, that is so good.
Oh, thank
This is
you.
going to go on my mirror.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. So, it's funny. Lately, I've been talking a lot about legacy, and Leader Impact is dedicated to leaders having a lasting impact. And as you continue to move through this whole journey of life, I was wondering if you could share what you want your faith journey to be when you leave this world. But the interesting question is, my thoughts have gone to legacy isn't something we leave; it's something we live.
Yes,
So when I
I
ask,
agree with
so
you.
because I feel you are living your faith every day, and
Yeah.
I just want to be, I want to live in Nashville now or anywhere you're living, just so
Come
we can
on,
hang
well,
out.
we'll
Yeah,
have a meet and three and some sweet tea. Come
I
on
love
down.
it. But anyway, so the question
You
is,
know,
when you leave this world.
yeah. I think again, I want to go back to I want people to have felt something when they were around me. Like, you know what, when I was with her, I just felt so good. She made me feel okay. Um I can do this because she made me feel like I could. I am closer to Jesus because I watched her example. Like, I'm not one of those type of people. I'm not a chapter and verse Christian. I'll tell you that all the time. But what I like to do is I like to be to live my life in a way that made you know who I am before I even announced who I am.
Yeah.
So for me, what legacy is again, I go back to treating people with kindness and respect, having people be better for the experience of having met me, so that when they, say when someone brings my name up, like, oh my gosh, I met her, she was great, like that type of thing. One of my prayers daily is, God, please let my name be spoken in rooms I'm not in. And not so long ago, I got this amazing opportunity to tape a special for K Love on Demand, the Christian radio station. And one of the things I was told is like, someone mentioned your name and they wanted you on this. And I was like, there's a prayer that was answered. And then, so when I got to talk to someone afterwards, she said, I saw you at a club, a comedy club, and I knew I wanted you on the show. So again, living the life, right? One of my favorite commercials is that I think it's Liberty Mutual. I'm pretty sure it's Liberty Mutual, where someone does an act of kindness for someone, and someone who's across the street sees it, and then it forces them to do, it encourages them to do an act of kindness. That's what I love so much. So, as the quote goes, be the change you want to see in the world. So I think I just want to live the life. I want to live a life that people say, you know what, when I was around her, she made me feel good, and I'm better for it. So not anything kind of like hoity toity or super fancy. Just be a good human being.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
you've made this half hour has
Oh,
just been inspiring for
I'm
me.
so glad you sat in the second row center.
Right? I was meant to be there.
Yes, you
Yeah.
were.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My last question, but you've made my cheeks hurt already. This is
Oh,
what brings you the greatest joy?
oh, that's good. That's a good question. You know what's funny? It's just like when I get to be home and I get to have some quiet time. Like right now, you caught me in the middle of a 2 week break, and that's very rare for me that I'm home for 2 weeks. And so just having those quiet moments where I can watch some guilty pleasure television, like the Real Housewives of everything. Like I just watched some guilty pleasure. I said to my mother yesterday, I didn't realize she didn't notice about me. I like cats, right? I really like cats. And my mother said, "You like cat?" I said, "I do, but I can't have one because my travel schedule is nuts." So I'm gonna. There's a cat lounge where you can go play with cats. I'm going to play with cats. that's going to bring me joy. Like just a simple act of playing with cats. My mother, why do you love cats? I was like, because cats could take or leave you. They're super smart. Like they're just so independent. And it's just, so to me, the simple things make
Yeah.
me happy. The
I, w-
simple things.
I was just going to comment that, and that it's simple.
It's so simple.
The simplicity of joy is.
And I tell people, with a life as an entertainer, with a life starting in PR, I'm very outward facing. Everything about me is extroverted, right? So when I get those quiet moments of introspection and I get to be introverted for a little while, it feels so good. You know what made me feel good yesterday? I bought some caramelized onion dip from Trader Joe's. Do you have a Trader Joe's there?
No, we don't. But I know it.
But it's so good. So like that made me happy yesterday. So it's the little things. Yes.
Oh, I have loved this 30 minutes. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm glad you had 2 weeks at home.
Me too.
I'm so thankful. I'm sure people either they want to follow you, they want to maybe look up your schedule, maybe they're in town where maybe you are, maybe they're going to go on a cruise. I don't know. But how can people maybe connect you, find you, look you up? Like, what is the best way?
I would love it. On Instagram and Facebook, Tara Brown Comedy. That'd be great. I'm very engaging with people. So if you reach out to me there, I will always answer you and always, because I'm so happy that people want to follow me. And I talk to everybody. And then I had my website, tarabrown.comedy.com. And there you can find out where I'll be and all that stuff. So yes, please connect with me. I love talking to people, as you can tell.
Yeah. And I love when people, and I love that you gave me the time. So thank you for that, because you could have stayed backstage, but to just come out and, I'm one of 500 people in this audience, and you just, came and talked to me.
Did you hear me say I fell off a stage? So anytime anybody wants to talk to me when I'm standing upright, I'm here for it. But in all seriousness, thank you for this opportunity. I'm always grateful to get to share my story. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thank you. And I will be following you.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, I want to thank Tara Brown for joining us today. What a great day. If you're part of Leader Impact, you can always discuss or share this podcast with your group. And if you are not yet part of Leader Impact and would like to find out more and grow your leadership, find our podcast page on our website at leaderimpact.ca. You can also check out groups available in Canada at leaderimpact.ca, or if you're listening from anywhere else in the world, check out leaderimpact.com or get in touch with us by email, info@leaderimpact.ca, and we will connect you. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a comment, give us a rating or a review. This will help other global leaders find our podcast. Thank you for engaging with us. And remember, impact starts with you.